Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join us as we explore the rugged landscapes, uncover hidden historical gems, and dive deep into the rich legends and culture of this iconic region. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest desert adventures. Please leave a like or comment. This is very helpful. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. Welcome to Southwest Desert. I'm your host, Alan, and today we're uncovering the extraordinary story of Dick Wick Hall, the desert town of Salome, and a famous amphibian who never learned to swim. It's a tale that made its way from a humble mimeographed newspaper sheet to the pages of the Saturday Evening Post, capturing America's imagination along the way. If you've heard of Mark Twain's celebrated jumping frog of Calaveras County, get ready to meet its spiritual successor, the Salome frog. But to understand this peculiar amphibian's tale, we first need to meet its creator, a remarkable character named Dick Wick Hall. The year was 1877, and in the quiet town of Creston, Iowa, a boy named DeForest Hall was born. Now, you might be wondering how DeForest Hall became Dick Wick Hall, and that's where our story really begins to get interesting. After finishing college and serving in the military, young DeForest did what any sensible person would do. He started collecting rattlesnakes in Florida. But his life would take a dramatic turn after visiting the Nebraska State Fair, where a display of Hopi Indian culture captured his imagination. With just $14.35 in his pocket and adventure in his heart, the 21-year-old headed west to Arizona. What happened next sounds like something out of a novel. The young man found himself working as a census taker for the Hopi tribe, and they didn't just accept him, they embraced him. This wasn't just some superficial connection. Hall immersed himself completely in their world, donning traditional Hopi clothing and studying their customs with the dedication of a scholar. He witnessed their sacred ceremonies, including the legendary snake dance. But more than that, he became a student of their artistic traditions. Hall spent countless hours studying their drawings, examining ancient petroglyphs, and decoding the symbolic designs that had been passed down through generations. The Hopi formally accepted him into their tribe, a rare honor for an outsider, and this deep connection to their culture would later influence his unique way of looking at the world and his distinctive artistic style. The experience taught him something crucial, that humor and wisdom could transcend cultural boundaries, a lesson he'd carry with him throughout his remarkable career. But our friend wasn't done wandering yet. He made his way to Pleasant Valley, where he became what he called a community vegetable gardener. Now, this was during the infamous Pleasant Valley Range Wars. It was during his next adventure, as editor of the Wickenburg News-Herald, that DeForest Hall transformed into Dick Wick Hall. The paper might have struggled financially, but it gave birth to his unique brand of humor and his love for the written word. Now, here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Hall and his brother Ernest, who would later become Arizona's Secretary of State, got word of a gold discovery. A prospector named Shorty Alger had found gold worth $100 per pound in what would become Salome. The brothers claimed 100,000 acres, and while Shorty's hole yielded $30,000 before running dry, it was just the beginning of the area's development. The town of Salome, named after Grace Salome Pratt, began to take shape, but not in the way you might expect. This wasn't your typical boomtown story. You see, after the gold rush subsided, the Hall brothers didn't just pack up and leave. They had a bigger vision. They drilled wells, formed the Grace Valley Irrigation District, and even started the Glory Hole mine. They were building for the future, not just chasing the next strike. The early buildings of Salome tell their own fascinating stories. Take the E.S. Jones store, for instance. Jones had already moved his store twice before, from Wickenburg and Congress, following the ebb and flow of frontier commerce. But when he planted his flag in Salome, north of the railroad tracks, he refused to budge, even when the highway development suggested he should. The Blue Rock Inn became the heart of the community, run by Mrs. Jones and her 3 daughters, Hughie, Lucy, and Dorothy. But here's where the story gets really interesting. The town needed a school, and in true frontier fashion, they converted a failed saloon into a classroom. One of Jones's daughters took up the role of teacher, and to meet the minimum requirement of 8 students, they had to enlist the teacher's sister to attend classes too. But the real magic began when Hall started his own newspaper, the Salome Sun. Now, this wasn't your ordinary newspaper. It was a mimeographed one-sheet creation, born to promote Hall's Laughing Gas station. And it was here, in these humble pages, that the legendary Salome frog made his debut. Picture this: a 7-year-old frog who had never learned to swim. Not his fault he never had a chance. Carrying a canteen in every cartoon illustration. This little amphibian captured the hearts of readers nationwide when his stories made it to the Saturday Evening Post in the late 1920s. The frog's origin story was as colorful as the character himself. Supposedly hatched from what was mistaken for a wild duck egg found in Owens Valley, California, the frog was raised on bottled Shasta and Pluto water. But it was the famous Palo Verde Pete story that really cemented his place in Arizona folklore. The Salome Sun itself was a masterpiece of frontier humor, but it was also a brilliant piece of marketing. You see, Hall created it primarily to promote his Laughing Gas station, responding to the new highway construction near Salome. But what started as a simple promotional tool became something far more significant. Picture this: a single mimeographed sheet, its masthead proudly declaring, "The Salome Sun where she danced," a clever biblical reference, with an added disclaimer about hot sand and shoes. The paper featured a cast of quizzical characters, including not just our amphibian friend, but also a caricature of the biblical Salome herself. His population growth jokes became legendary. 100% a year, 19 people in 19 years, he'd write, with the kind of deadpan delivery that would make Mark Twain proud. But the Sun wasn't just about jokes. It was practical, too. Hall would draw detailed maps for customers, complete with helpful notations about bumps and curves. Even his failing typewriter became part of the charm. When certain letters stopped working, Hall didn't replace the machine. He adapted, using capital letters when needed, creating a distinctive style that became part of the paper's personality. It was as if the very limitations of frontier life became fuel for his creativity. Sadly, Dick Wick Hall passed away in 1926, marking the end of an era for Salome. The town that had grown through his humor and vision seemed to pause in its tracks, as if taking a moment of silence that stretched into years. Many of the buildings from Hall's time still stand, though most remain unoccupied silent sentinels to a more vibrant past. In a way, the story of Dick Wick Hall and the Salome frog represents something uniquely American: the ability to find humor and hope in the harshest of conditions, to build community through creativity and wit, and to leave a legacy that continues to bring smiles to faces nearly a century later. This has been Southwest Desert. Join us next week when we explore another fascinating story from the Southwest frontier. Until then, remember, sometimes the most extraordinary tales come from the most unexpected places. Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman Alan for another Southwest adventure. Check out my large Southwest catalog of videos and playlists on historical tales, legends, lost gold tales, and adult bedtime stories. Happy trails. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.